Darian Rodriguez Heyman is the former executive director of the Craigslist Foundation, and he's here with us today at the Grant Professionals Association Conference. Good morning, Darian.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, Rod.
Oh, thanks for being here. Man, tell me about this Craigslist Foundation. How did that start?
I started out in my bedroom. I mean, basically, the foundation had been started a few years prior, but it had gone defunct. The only two staffers left, and so they hadn't even had a board meeting in almost 2 years. And then one of the inactive board members saw some of the work that I was doing as I transitioned out of my .com career and really decided to devote my life to philanthropy and asked me to breathe some life into it. And so I created the whole focus on kind of leveraging Craigslist's focus on people helping people and transitioning that into the nonprofit space, so helping people help. Created something called Nonprofit Bootcamp that became the largest nonprofit gathering in Bay Area history within its first year, and also expanded that to New York. Had about 10,000 graduates in the 5 years I was there, and got really great response, and people loved the very practical and tactical focus on providing people with everything they need to start and run an effective nonprofit. And got to start a couple coalitions while I was there around next generation leadership, environmental nonprofits, and also wound up becoming a commissioner for the city and county of San Francisco, focused on the environment and helping to pass the largest solar rebate program in the country. So it was just a really wonderful experience.
Well, that's outstanding. And so let's talk about your environmental work for a minute.
Yeah, sure.
Is that still part of your portfolio of services that you offer, and what capacity and what?
It is, yeah. I mean, I kind of straddle the two worlds, right? Craigslist Foundation is still up and running. They're doing great, amazing work around empowering communities. They still do the boot camp in San Francisco. And so I've moved on. I'm doing both nonprofit management work as well as green economy work. So I work with the UN Environment Program. I lead green economy summits and youth leadership summits for them. I consult with a variety of different clients in the environmental space. In general, I work with nonprofits, environmental groups, and just mission-led organizations. And just help them with fundraising, messaging, strategy, board development, stuff like that.
Man, that's amazing stuff.
It's fun, yeah.
You're a young guy. You've done so much. I read your complete bio. It's just really humbling to see a guy who's done so much in such a short life so far.
Thank you.
Including now you've published a book.
Yeah, actually I just had my first book come out. It's not just mine though. There were actually 50 authors across 35 topics. So the book is called Nonprofit Management 101. And basically it's Nonprofit Bootcamp as a book, except without the focus on starting a nonprofit. It's really exclusively for practitioners in the field. It's really by practitioners, for practitioners. Very practical. It's also very comprehensive, as you might imagine, with 50 different contributors.
Sure.
So it covers all different aspects of fundraising, marketing, technology, board and volunteer management, legal and financial, etc. And that's been doing really well. It's a big book, but it's also pretty modular, so you can read a chapter in 20 or 30 minutes, and each chapter has a resource review. So if people want to learn more about board development or social media or foundation fundraising, they can go deeper into that particular area.
Okay, right. Oh, I love books that are written like that, because I can get my head around that kind of chomping.
Yeah, I think of it as like an Encyclopedia Non-Profitanica.
Yeah, great brand.
Yeah.
Great brand. And where can somebody find the book?
It's for sale on Amazon.com.
Okay.
And we're selling it here at the conference as well. But most of the folks are buying it online. It hit number 2 on Amazon's nonprofit list twice last month.
Wow.
So it's been amazing. I thought it was going to be like a movie where it kind of peaks when it first comes out, but it's actually been picking up a lot of steam, partially in part because we've been doing book releases around the country, tied into the Social Media for Nonprofits conference that we launched in 7 different cities this year.
Okay, and good segue. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, of
Tell
course.
me about your social media conference. What are you doing there?
Well, just like the book and just like the boot camp, I feel like there's kind of a dearth of practical and actionable insights and tips and tools. And a lot of people, especially at conferences and in books, talk about concepts and theories, and those may be interesting, food for thought, but it's not enough to just inspire people and educate them. I want to inspire them to action. What are you going to do differently tomorrow that's going to make you more effective, more efficient at serving the community and having impact? And so the conference series is focused specifically around social media, in particular as it relates to fundraising, advocacy, and marketing. And so we've been mobilizing amazing speakers. We're actually doing 9 events, 9 conferences in 7 cities. We're going to reach about 3,000 nonprofits through this initial series. Everyone we've done so far has been sold out. And so we're doing them. We've already done San Francisco, LA, Chicago, New York, and DC. Right now we're about to head to Seattle on October 14th. We're circling back to San Francisco on November 4th. Then we'll be in Atlanta on November 17th. And finally, we'll cap it off back in New York on January 30th. And we've brought people together like Guy Kawasaki and Beth Kanter and Amidar from Idealist, and just some of the industry luminaries, along with some folks like, Twitter's head of social innovation, and LinkedIn and Facebook, and all the big boys, in addition to great nonprofits like the Red Cross and Greenpeace and some smaller groups you may not have heard of. So really kind of covering all the different perspectives from the grassroots to the larger groups, and doing it again very tightly framed around inspired to action, practical tips and tools, and what are you going to do differently tomorrow?
Right on. And how can somebody learn more about that,
Sure.
tour?
So there's a website which is socialmediafornonprofits.org,
Okay.
and it's social media, the number 4, nonprofits.org. We're also on Twitter and Facebook if you look up SM, the number 4 nonprofits.
Okay, good. The tough question that seems in my mind that floats around with social media these days is putting a number to it, quantifying the benefit. Is that possible? Is it something that we just have to do now out of social obligation to keep up with the neighbors? We have to be on because I know when the web first started, you had to have a website even though nobody used them.
Yeah, sure.
And I wonder now, are we at a point where we can calculate ROI?
So yes, no, and yes, basically,
Okay.
because there are some really important statistics and numbers to know about that are general, right, beyond any one organization. So it's hard to say, what's your ROI in particular until you've actually launched a campaign. But because we're talking about digital media, everything is trackable. So you can do amazing analysis using free tools like Google Analytics to really be able to directly gauge the impact of your efforts. But something to keep in mind is this is not just the kids anymore. Facebook has 800 million people that logged on in the last 30 days.
Wow.
So they're the third largest country in the world, in effect. And at the same time, they're growing every month by the size of the LA Times' entire subscription base. And almost more importantly, the fastest growing audience on Facebook is women over the ages of 45. So again, this is not just the kids anymore. So it is important. Twitter's at 200 million and growing. This is a growing trend and phenomenon. And yes, you can track everything that you're doing. It's going to be different for every organization. And the key is identifying what does success look like? What are the quantifiable metrics and goals that you're looking for? So it's great to have somebody like your page, but what are you ultimately trying to get them to do? For us, it's attend a conference. For you, it might be a donation, etc. But that said, the no sandwich I gave you to answer your question is that no, you don't have to be on Facebook or Twitter. And probably the single biggest pitfall that I warn people against is what I call the empty store phenomenon. So if you don't really have a plan, then if you're not truly committed to maintaining your presence on these sites, it's the equivalent of opening an empty store. You don't want to set up a Facebook page or a Twitter profile and then not post anything. Would you open a store without putting anything on the shelves, right?
Good
So
comparison.
if you're going to do it, you need to be committed. It's great that your daughter or your intern is willing to set up your presence, and maybe they're there for a few weeks or a few months to post, occasionally. But really, it needs to be something that the entire organization is bought into. It can't just be a committee or a person. The executive director and everybody needs to spend a couple minutes, maybe not every day, but every week. Take a sentence out of your most recent grant proposal or report or press release or, any kind of news, any photos from an event, anything that really shows the personal side and the impact side, more importantly, of your work, and share that through these really effective channels.